the mental high of what we romanticize can sometimes be more exciting than real life because others rarely meet our expectations. Oh, that's big. And I think this was a really important awareness to add into the Living Peace teachings this time around, because it is fascinating that when we think about our dreams, when we think about doing something, what ends up happening is that it really does equally release that feel-good feeling. But then when we actually show up in real life to experience said situation, a lot of times it's not as good as what we imagined it to be. And that causes a lot of pain. That causes so much pain. And what ends up happening after a while, this is the psychology of humans, especially here in the West, is that when you're disappointed so many times, over and over again, what ends up happening is you stop trying. And you kind of just you just keep talking about your dreams, but we don't actually end up following up with any action anymore because the action is too painful. And so it's fascinating that we start to live in this limbo of just talking about how we want to improve the world, talking about how we want to improve our lives, but there's that next step of actually going out and doing it is skipped. And then we just jump from idea to idea to idea to idea without actually having idea action, idea action, idea action, idea action. And the importance about release knowing is really about letting go of that expectation that there needs to be some good. It needs to be this perfect outcome or this good outcome before we actually start our progress. Or even when you start this, you start putting an idea or you start into a relationship thinking that it's going to has to be a certain way before you will actually continue forward. And this is where our concept of non-duality really comes into things, because again, non-duality is there's no right or wrong, good or bad, it's just all neutral. But what that teaches us is that pain is not bad, right? So every video, every talk we have, I always reiterate this. Pain is not bad, it's just information. And so when we start looking at all situations as just informational situations, infomercials. Your pain is just an infomercial. What that does is that even when your expectations are not met, it says, no, this is good, I'm still learning. And so how can I then tweak this idea? How can I then tweak this action and then continue moving forward with it? Does that make sense? And this was a really big breakthrough for me, because when I opened this center, Earth Spirit Center for Healing, in 2010, and I really didn't have a solid business plan. It just kind of evolved as I evolved. And it took me a few years of doing that. And there was great moments of success, and then there were great moments of stagnancy, and it just constantly kept going back and forth. But the biggest thing was that there was just such an identity crisis. And everyone who came to visit had a different idea of what this place should be, because I didn't give a singular focus. I didn't give a singular mission or vision. And that led to a lot of conflict and a lot of different expectations not being met. And God is forbid, I could not be everything for every person. And so what ended up happening is I would always build up momentum and then stop it because I got too stressed out. And then I'd have a month off or 2 months off. And then I'd build up momentum again, and then I'd stop it because I'd get too stressed out. And so just for a few years, it just constantly building momentum, building momentum, building momentum. Stop, can't handle anymore, withdraw, 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 go into my little cave. And then I would just constantly keep doing that. And then I noticed these past couple of years, since reopening with Living Peace and Dunasha, now we have that set vision and that set inner peace training. We're not trying to be something that we're not. We're not trying to meet everyone's needs. We're just meeting the needs that we tell people that we will meet. What ended up happening is that there have been times where we're building momentum here, and then I do get stressed. Because there's always that next comfort zone to break out of. But I remember thinking really clearly, no, I'm going to have to push through this time because I don't want to go backwards. So even though this is uncomfortable, even though it's out of my comfort zone, even though there might be a little bit of scratchiness of the ego, this is something to still push beyond, because nothing stays the same forever. And so once I sit through and push through this emotion, this stagnancy that I'm feeling that makes me want to withdraw and just view it as information, give it a week or two, it's going to sort itself out, and it always does. And that's what led us to this moment of being able to continue with our momentum rather than having to stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. And I'm sure many of you can relate to at least something in your life that you have been stop-go on. And I think this was just a really good analogy because I really got to see it in action. And something curious even more, just because of what I do as a spiritual teacher and life coach, by me pushing through that, I got to then see the result of that in many of your lives. Because I can generally only help people to the extent that I've helped myself. And so by me learning to push through it, it opened up a whole new set of teachings that I then began to teach. And that I then began to see beautiful, even more transformation in the clients and the students that come here. Isn't that cool? And so that's my invitation to all of you, is that when you push through those moments, it actually helps everyone in your life. It helps your families, it helps your friendships, it helps your workplace, it helps everything when you push through those moments rather than back away. Does that make sense? Isn't that groovy? It's delicious.